If all my days are like this first day of 82, I'm going to be very busy. With this opening line, my Aunt Chris Scudder's diaries of her life in East Texas begins. In 2001, as we cleaned out my grandmother's house after she moved to the nursing home, we found several diaries over a 6-year period that my aunt had kept. One of my fondest memories growing up was of listening to my grandmother and her sisters talk about their younger days and talking of shadowy aunts and uncles who had long since died and who I knew only through the smoky lens of my relatives' memory. Of course, there were stories about the hardships of the 1920s and 30s, of having only one pair of shoes to wear, and of picking cotton until your fingers bled. There were the illusions of my great-grandfather's wanderlust and how he shepherded the family from place to place in Central and East Texas looking for work, barely scraping by. But listening to the stories of my great aunts and my grandmother, I felt I knew my family and where we were from and how we got to where we are today. These journals my aunt wrote over a 6-year period provide a glimpse into a life filled with family, church, cooking, gardening, and various physical ailments that made up her life. My aunt's diaries were concerned mainly with the domestic sphere of her life. She describes meals she cooked, vegetables she cans, furniture she refinishes to sell in her antique shop. But most importantly, her journals convey a sense of place and of family that is often so missing today. Her writing is firmly set in rural East Texas and exhibits an understanding of rural literacy based on weather and seasons so important to agriculture and to those people at that time. These journals have instilled in me not only a sense of who I am and a connection to my family, but they have provided a glimpse into the view of rural life shared by thousands of women living in East Texas during this time. And they have also reminded me of events that happened throughout the years, including my grandmother's divorce in 1982 from her husband at the time. While most of what she wrote concerned the domestic sphere of her life, current events did intrude into her writings. On January 28th of 86, she wrote, "Learned today that the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up this morning just after liftoff, killing all 7 people on board. That's a terrible shock and a blow to the space program. President Reagan has declared a week of mourning. It will be more than a week for the families, I'm afraid. So sad." Deaths of family members and other friends are also frequent topics of the journals, as are new additions to our family. But the real joy of these journals are the real lessons of the waxing and waning of the years and of the seasons she describes. Events that seem mundane to her are so fascinating to me today. When she was writing this journal, I wondered, did she think no one would ever be interested in what she had to write? Deborah Brandt in Literacy in American Lives writes, "Increasingly the ramifications of economic transformation form the history of literacy itself. They deserve a more central role in developing theories of individual literacy development. These journals are a form of my family's literacy, and as such are very important." But these journals are important not only because they remind me of the family that I come from and the events of the past, but by reading these journals and remembering the stories of my great aunts and my grandmother, I feel I know where my family is from, our history, and how we got where we are today. It's a sense of belonging I think is missing from our lives today.